Hey, Ben with Studio on the Lake. Here's a train wreck. This is kind of fun. This thing got destroyed at the end, but I thought I'd throw the video up anyway, just because of the knife work in there, and you'll get more as it goes along. Here's a preview of a video that is in painting right now and then editing, and I had a fin drop off there, but that is a spearfishing decoy. So I thought the original plan for this thing, all good plans crash and burn, and I'll tell you why later on. But this is an owl that I used to do, and it's a real simple one done with a knife. And I thought it might be fun to play with a knife for a little while. So I put about 2 hours into what you're going to see on this. And then if you wait till the end, I think it's only about 10 minutes long, you're going to see what happens when things go bad. So that's why I put this in there, just to show you that not everything turns out the way that you want it to. And sometimes things that are out of your control will ruin a carving. Or I can't give the secret away. You have to wait till the end to see this. So, a piece of basswood, of course, cut out on the bandsaw, and a lot of this I sped up 2 times, I think, some of it to see in there. And as always, I'm putting reference lines on. This is actually an owl. I'll give away what he is. He's a little cutesy owl. Serves absolutely no purpose, but he's cute. Sits in the corner, and I never did get the bottom part of him carved. I've got a little bit of the beak, the horns. I'm assuming he's a horned owl character. But hey, Gene Messer, take a look at that knife work, man. And Doug Linker, eat your heart out. So it can be done with a knife. And unfortunately, sad to say, I could have done this guy twice as fast, 3 times as fast with the power carving, and I wouldn't have had to think about it. But I do enjoy putting the knife in my hand and playing around. So we're working it down. His beak is going to go in the front there, and I'm just slicing pieces off. And you'll notice, those of you that are into the knife work, that I'm working with the grain. And I'm making stop cuts. In fact, there's a couple stop cuts right there. And if you're into doing a knife tutorial, I think what you're seeing there, let me see if I can pick it out. These are you've got almost all the basics in knife work here, other than the fact that I don't have a glove on my hand. I don't like carving with a carving glove. And knock on wood, haha. I haven't cut myself yet. So, reference lines always. I'm laying in the beak. I got the horns kind of cut back. There's a tricky part to this, and it's coming up. In fact, it's the majority of this video. His beak is pretty straightforward to carve out. That gets convexed down in there, or concave, one of the two. It gets hollowed out, and then I have to leave the eyeball in the middle, and that's the trickiest part. Got to leave an eyeball in there. It'd be much easier just to carve that shape inside the ear portion of it, or the horns, as the case may be, which you see me doing right there. I'm working that down, and then as soon as I get close, I need to stop, and I'm going to start to put the eye in. But there's kind of a lever cut. You see when I put my thumb behind it and there it is right there. Well, I almost did it. Let's see if I can pick out the basic knife shapes here. Here's a slicing or paring cut. That's just what you'd use to peel potatoes. That's kind of a strange version there. Another slicing or paring. And you'll notice I am working with the grain. Now here's a push. I'm kind of rocking that. I'm putting it behind my thumb there and rocking the tip through, getting a stop cut in there. So again, there's that paring slice cut. You'll see me, nope, I thought I might have switched there. And you see, it looks like I am cutting towards my thumb, but I'm really really got a control on that. I'm not pushing through that. So I'm not doing what they would call whittling, although I think later in the video you'll see me do a little of what people would call whittling. In other words, you hold it, in my case, in your left hand, the knife in your right hand, and you push the knife away from you and let it slide off of the wood. That's what you would think of as whittling. You got an old cowboy leaning against a fence, one leg kicked back, cigarette in his mouth, and he's just got a stick there and his pocket knife out, you know, an old timer or something along those lines, and he's just turning that into toothpicks. So I'm cutting it down to his beak. I'm trying to keep it symmetrical because that's the whole goal here. You'll notice I picked a fairly clean piece of basswood to do the knife work. You want it to be the same hardness throughout, and basswood does come in various different hardnesses, and the only way to figure out what you've got is either take a knife to it or stick your fingernail in it. And this, it will carve, basswood will carve just as nice, in fact easier. It's more like soap if it's kind of wet. So here is the hardest part of the whole thing. I'm trying to get a round eyeball out of the middle of that eye there, and I just went ahead and carved those wings or ears, horns back in there, and then stuck an eyeball in there. It'd sure be a lot easier. But I thought you guys might get a kick out of seeing the whole thing. And these are just little slicing cuts, and I've kind of got a stabbing cut going there around the eye. Those are all stop cuts around the side, and there's kind of a slicing. You can see I'm levering with my thumb, and be careful if you've got 3 or 4 different knives on hand, or you happen to buy a couple of knives if you're beginning. If you've been doing this for a while, you will know better. Some knives are shaped exactly the opposite of this one. You'll notice that the swept back portion of that is not the sharp part. That's the part I got my thumb on. Some knives, the sweep part of that, as opposed to the straight, is the sharp end. So if you're switching knives up and you go to grab that, you'll find yourself with a really nice cut in your thumb. I keep this pretty sharp. I typically just strop it. You can go, I'm trying to think of somebody who's done a good video, or a video that talks about a bench knife, which is what this is, or carving knives, and how they sharpen them. Doug Linker has one on there where he talks about he never takes a stone to a knife. I will take a series of stones to knives, but by and large, once you get a nice edge on that, nice geometry that you like, then all it needs is a little bit of stropping every once in a while with some Triple E or some rouge on there. So you see I'm putting the eyeball in this guy. I was really kind of liking him. He gets, the whole bottom of that gets rounded, or would have gotten rounded, had he not befallen the tragedy that you're going to see at the end of the video here. So now I'm just kind of cleaning up on that, and you'll only get to see one side. I did get the other eye put in there, and he was ready to go, but he was looking pretty good. You can see where he was going there. And a lot of it gets taken back down on those horns. I keep calling them ears, but I don't think birds have ears. What the heck, what do I know? So that's all going to get carved back, and then he's going to get rounded out on the bottom and turned into a cute little owl. His feet will sit in the front there on the bottom, and then he'll have a tail on the backside. Or he would have had a tail on the backside. I wish I had kept a one of these. I haven't carved one of these for probably 15 years. Used to carve them all the time. So I don't have one to show you. And I'm throwing the reference line in because now I'm starting to round him out. I'm really getting down to where the hard part was those eyes and getting those cut in, and The rest of this is just a simple matter. People will tell you not to do what I'm doing right there, which is pulling, but if you look at my hand, I'm not really pulling into my thumb. The muscles in my hand are stopping that knife before it gets anywhere near my thumb. And then here's that push cut. And then the last thing, obviously you see it all through here, stop cuts. So the grain goes two different ways there. So I got a stop cut on the bottom, cut down to that. And if you want to see some great knife work, obviously the master is Gene Messer. Go over and check out their videos. He's been doing this for a long time. And Doug Linker has been doing some knife. He does a lot of almost exclusively knife work. So check them out if you want to see some of these guys working only with a knife. There's some character, and I can't remember his name, that is obviously trained in Germany, probably down around the Oberammergau region. Just looking at his characters, he does small carvings with a knife and occasionally a chisel. He throws some chisels in there. But he does all handwork, no power carving, and turns out with beautiful pieces. All right, so here's what happened. I put him on a stump. I went out and I got more firewood. And while I was out, my English Mastiff Groot ate him. That's right, ate him. Turned him into mush, nothing but mush. So not all videos have happy endings. And here's a little slow motion. This is as far as this guy got. And I thought, man, I got footage of this, and I'm going to put it up and show you guys that are subscribing and whatnot that not all things turn out like they should. So just like the telling the teacher, the dog ate my homework. Well, if this was my homework, the dog ate it. So thanks a lot. This has been Ben with Studio on the Lake.